So my message to you guys is make sure anything you're doing is sustainable. Do it in small chunks because small, consistent steps are far better than going hard at it for 3 months and then giving up.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name is Tabitha Bright, and I'm the head of the coaching and advising team here at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 10,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. Today, I've taken some time out to do a bit of a deep dive at an insider look on how we onboard our clients and what strategy looks like internally for our clients. So why goal setting is important and how do we set strategy? Too many S's. How do we set strategy? And what are some of the things we consider? Because sometimes strategy can seem very simple, but the devil is in the detail. And I've given you an insider look into some of the training that I do with the team on successfully delivering strategy for our clients and the stuff that we have to consider around your personal circumstances and how our strategies for our clients are definitely personalized to your individual circumstances. So I hope this is interesting. Enjoy this podcast, and I will see you at our next one where I will be back to business as usual with a fabulous client. Hey everybody, my name's Tabitha Bright. I'm head of the coaching team here at Positive Real Estate, and I've been in this role for around 18 years. So I'm pretty familiar with coaching clients, at least as Positive Real Estate sees and views the property market, which has certainly worked for me personally and many of our team and a load of our clients. And there's been some key lessons along the way. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about today was going back to basics and really the simplicity that we can break stuff down to, because often when we're talking about property investing, people are concerned. The things I hear over the years of coaching have been that people aren't good at maths, they don't understand property, it's hard, it's big, it's scary. And while all of those things can have truth in them, and fear is one of the major things that stops a lot of investors from, would-be investors, I should say, investing. It doesn't have to be the case. And getting some support when you're starting out on your journey, or even just wanting to get better results on your journey, can be fundamental to your success and can really change your trajectory with your wealth creation. And whether you're the much maligned boomer generation, whether you're like me, the mad Gen Xers, or whether you're a younger generation feeling like maybe there's no choices for you, that you're priced out of the market, and that there's challenges that are almost insurmountable when it comes to the property market in Australia. Please be assured there are options, and there are pathways for everybody, and getting some coaching so that you know what all of your options are can really make a massive difference. And sometimes it's even who you talk to. Sometimes it's not having one no stop you. One of our most successful coaches was told no a multitude of times when she first started investing. She was a single mum, and she was told no one would lend to her. And there were options, but it just took a bit of tenacity, and she had to shift and change a few things. But once she had a path forward, she managed to be very successful and has gone on to coach at Positive Real Estate and share some of her knowledge. So I guess my message today is don't give up. Find that tribe, be it Positive, be it, whoever it is that you connect with, that is going to put the time into getting you a result. But also, if you're going to successfully create a property portfolio, you have to be prepared to put the time in. And Jason Witten, one of our founders of Positive Real Estate, he has this fantastic video that I'd love to share in this podcast, but it's not going to quite work. And he talks about how, often people are only putting in an hour a month, an hour a week into changing their financial circumstances. And have a look at where are you spending your time and what are you prepared to commit, because it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be 5 hours a week. It's like going to the gym. It has to be sustainable, or doing exercise, or whatever it is that you're trying to do, that is changing where you're at, be it health. Health is just an easy one to pick on, and fitness. And so my message to you guys is make sure anything you're doing is sustainable. Do it in small chunks, because small, consistent steps are far better than going hard at it for 3 months and then giving up. So what I would love to see in anyone that's considering starting a portfolio or changing how they've built their portfolio or reviewing their portfolio and getting a different result, whatever it might be, wherever you are, be prepared to be resilient and just keep moving forward, just a step at a time, and just know what your next step is. And I can guarantee, will get a fantastic result long term. Today, if I take apart some of that I've talked about, it's about going back to basics. And I wanted to give you guys a bit of an inside glimpse into how we coach and what coaching looks like, and why goal setting is important. Because, there's a lot of groups out there that say they do what Positive Real Estate do, and they will have their own version of what that looks like. However, I'm biased, obviously, but I don't think that there's many groups out there that offer as in-depth education as what Positive Real Estate do. And I'll give you an example of that. We've got coming up in the next couple of months, 4 coaching calls. Coaching calls are where you get to have an online session, ask all your questions of our 6-star team. So each team member, that's accounting, financial planning, finance, real estate and property deals, coaching, every property management, every 6-star team member gets to present and answer questions from clients to help them navigate property investing. Because what we've found is those 6 team members are critical to clients building a successful portfolio. And so we've got coaching calls fortnightly for clients to tap into, where they can just jump on and ask questions out of their 6-star team. We have mentoring nights where we get a topic every month, and sometimes those topics can shift at short notice if there's something that's really applicable in the market, like interest rate cuts, or market's going off for some reason. Something's happened, like there might be a political change, like land tax gets announced or something like that, that affects the market that our investors need to know about. We get industry professionals in to speak at these events, so they're regularly every month. We have unlimited strategy appointments with your coach. You just need to book in. There's no cap on how many times you can meet with them. We have bus tours with Sam Saggers, who's another one of the founding members of Positive Real Estate. And Sam is our chief property economist. He's pretty spectacular with his knowledge in investing in all the markets in Australia. And he takes people on a town planning tour all around Melbourne, Brisbane, which are the 2 main markets that our clients are buying in at present. And he'll explain, like, what is a a development that you'd buy in and what isn't a development you'd buy in. And these are the reasons why. Look at this property. This is our client's got a fantastic result with this for these reasons, this floor plan, this square meter rate versus this, which a lot of, there's a lot of marketing on at the moment, but you wouldn't buy for these reasons. And our clients love these tours. You get to hang with Sam. And there's just so much going on. We have live events. We have live, what we call our pop-up events where, and we've got a whole lot coming up in Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney at the moment, where we'll come and do some presentations. We break bread with everybody, rub bellies, as Sam says, and get to see our clients face to face, which is just really awesome when it comes to building that community that so many of our clients feel that they don't have in their own lives, because talking about wealth creation, talking about property investing, there's often as many naysayers as there are people that are, wanting to cheer you on and support you in this space, and having this network group of other like-minded investors going through the same stuff you're going through, getting some awesome successes, navigating challenges and sharing that is really powerful. And why we've got, clients I'm still coaching that I originally had started working with, 15 years ago and more. And it's really special to see those people and their journey and how that blossoms. So understanding all of that. One of the first things we do when we work with clients is we start with the goals. And I'm going to share the goal document with you so that you can get a bit of an understanding of what it looks like. And if you are a client of Positive Real Estate, congratulations. And please make sure that you do fill out this goal setting document with your coach. And if you haven't done it in a while, I would encourage you to review it. Because one thing that I've personally found, and I've seen it for a lot of our clients, is that as you go through your investing journey, your goals change. Like you tick stuff off, some big stuff, some just small stuff. Life happens and your focus changes. Your career goals change. Your family goals might change. It can be all sorts of stuff. And so it's really important that you keep thinking about what is important to you, because it's that old classic cliche, where you focus, the energy flows. And it's really important that we understand what is important to us and where we need that focus in order to get what we say is important to us. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to get a bit raw here because it's going to be raw documents. And this is our fabulous goal setting guide. And I want to tell you some of the purpose behind it. And then I'm going to share with you a document that I use as a guide for the team when I'm training a person to be a coach, because it gives them a framework to work to when it comes to coaching clients. And I want to show you what that looks like, so that you have a good understanding of why we do what we do. It's not random. It's actually tailored to ensure that you guys get a great result. Before I show you the goal setting guide, I just want to touch on a client's trajectory in investing is usually broken down into 3 stages. And that is your acquisition stage, your consolidation phase, and your exit and lifestyle phase. And as much as I'd like to say it just follows a linear type thing where you've got acquisitions, consolidation, exit, it's never as straightforward as that. Finance plays a massive part in this. And you might go acquisitions phase where you go, okay, I need X amount of properties and I'm going to buy these properties. Then I'm going to go into consolidation phase, which is where we pay down debt, focus on getting our rents up, all that kind of good stuff while we hold. Holding is an important part of any property portfolio. But it never works that way, or it seldom works that way, because we need sometimes to go acquisitions and then consolidation, then back to acquisitions, because sometimes we have to pay down debt and get cash flows up and get our salaries up and go back to work after maternity leave and all those life things in order to purchase the next property. So it's never, ever a straight line. So let me show you the goal setting guide with that pre-frame. So keep that in mind. So helps if I can click on the right button. It just explains the goal setting guide. Now I get people to think about the classic be, do, have, like who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you want to have? Because sometimes people get a bit stuck with goal setting. They're like, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know what I want. Am I asking for too much? Am I not setting my sights high enough? Am I shortchanging myself? And so these questions can result in analysis paralysis and people doing the crazy eight. So I just get people to just start writing stuff down. And there's going to be stuff that you write down and think, don't really care about that. I'm just writing it down because I don't know what else to write. Believe it or not, that's actually an important part of goal setting. It's just getting the out. And sometimes when I've done goal setting in the past, I've kind of put the stuff down and I've found it unsatisfactory would probably be the best word. I've found it really hard to connect to the goals. And it's been like, yeah, I want to retire. I want to retire on a couple of $100,000 a year. I think so. What's that? 15 grand, 20 grand a month after tax, that's whatever. Can I get around the tax? Maybe if I buy my super or I do something else. That's not financial advice, by the way. And so, you kind of have this internal dialogue about your goals. Are they right? Are they good? Do you even care about what you've written down? And you'll probably find that for a lot of the time, it's actually really hard to get connected to it and get excited about goals. That's okay. If you're not that and you love your goals and they really pump you up, all power to you. Personally, I haven't found that for myself. But what I do know is that just the act of setting a goal and writing some stuff down means that you're moving towards something. And even if that focus is only 80% right, it doesn't matter. It does not have to be perfect. I hired a fellow to teach me how to coach. His name was Scott Harris. He's awesome. And this is going back many, many years. And he said to me, Tab, I'm going to mess with you. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And I was like, oh, that really messes with me as a, bit of a perfectionist. I'm sure many of you might be able to relate to that. And I was like, how does that even work? Like that just doesn't sink in for me at all. I don't like that. And he said, if we waited for perfect all the time, like we just wouldn't get started. And it would never be good enough and we'd never press go. And I want you guys to think about that when you're investing, when you're doing your goals, and how it might apply to other places in your life. Because I can tell you the people that have the best success, that have started from a place where they haven't initially had wealth, they've had to work and earn it for themselves, I can guarantee you they have not waited till perfect. And sometimes even here at Positive Real Estate, the pace of the property market can change. It can be very slow moving. It can also be very fast. If we always waited for perfect, like making sure that, the goal document's been updated, but I've forgotten a spell check. That's probably not a very good example, but you get what I'm saying. If we waited for perfect every time, it's actually one of the strengths of this business is that we are very dynamic and can move very fast, but we don't wait for perfect. And I want you guys to think about that, because perfection, we all know that, once again, the cliches around that, right? So once you've got the be, do, have stuff and you've just done a brain dump, there'll be some stuff in there that you like and some stuff you discard. And so the next thing I do is I get clients to take the top 3 things out of that brain dump that they want to have as measurable goals that they're going to aim for. And I like clients to have like some hard stuff and some easy stuff. So 6-month goals. it can't be the how. It has to be the why. So you wouldn't write here, for example, I want 6 properties in 6 months, because that's the how. What are those 6 properties going to do for you? That's the question. And that's the goal that I'm interested in. Why are you buying the properties, not buy the properties? So often when clients do their goals, we'll rework them with them to make sure that the goals are the goals, not the hows. Yeah, if that makes sense. So 6 month, 12 month, and there might be personal stuff in there like take a trip, buy a car. Well, I'd rather you didn't if we're trying to get you investing. Get fit. All of that stuff is totally fine to put in here, because coaching is, even though we're not life coaches, coaching and how you are as a person emotionally, how you experience every day, all impacts how much energy you have for investing. So we are interested in the other stuff in your life. Yeah. And although we're not going to give you a plan to get fit, but we might get you to commit to joining a gym or something like that, and have that worked into your budget if you're getting started in an acquisition phase to invest. And we look at 3-year and 5-year plus goals. So these are your bigger long-term goals. This might be retire in 12 to 15 years on 150K, or whatever your goal is. Yeah. And then, so the coach has a target, because we want to measure your success, because your success is our success. And we do this thing called the needs, wants, dreams. And you might have seen, if you've been along to an information night, you might have seen the coach presenting do that. But basically, it's a triangle that looks like this: your needs, your wants, your dreams. And so for your needs, we're imagining that you have your dream home or your base, if you want to some people want to be nomads, debt-free. So no mortgage, no monthly rent. You don't have to cover the cost of housing yourself should you need to, but you'll still need to pay for electricity rates, food, water, all of that stuff. So what would you need to cover your needs? And our clients fill that out, right? So let's say we put in 50K. And then your wants. So this is the stuff that you might do for fun. When my clients get stuck on goals, I always say to them, well, what do you do for fun? What would you do if you could have fun? Because, sometimes people are so overwhelmed by job, domestic stuff, just getting through life. They're not spending a lot of time having fun. And fun doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be taking big amounts of time off work. But what makes you feel good? And so I get my clients to put a number on that. So if you want to go out to dinner with your spouse once a week and you want to spend a couple of $100 at a fancy restaurant once a month, you might say, well, that's going to be $400 a month that I'm going to spend on breaking bread, having dinner, connecting with my spouse over some great food. And, it might be that you choose to get fit together or something, and that's going to cost you a personal trainer at $500 a month, and et cetera, et cetera. You get where I'm going with that. I don't know where I pulled the 500 from. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. And so then we might add that up. So for the pretend me, I'm going to go, right, well, let's say all the fun stuff I want to do in retirement, based on today's prices, that would cost me, let's say, $3,000 a month. Yeah. 3,000 times 12 is 36. Let's round it up to 40 because that's a nice number. So I'm going to spend 40K a year on just having fun and doing cool stuff. And then dreams, this might be the big ticket stuff that You might do every couple of years. It might be buying a big ticket item. It might be donating a big chunk to charity, or, you name it, but it's a bigger ticket item. And I'm going to put 50. Oops. I'm going to put 50K there for the fictional me. Awesome. So then we go, well, that's $140,000 a year. That probably is a rough estimate of what I'm going to need in retirement, which is pretty cool, because we take all of that and we go dreams 50, wants 40, needs 50. My total income goal is 140K per annum. So that's a good starting point, because now the coach understands what the goal is, like what your income target is. And as soon as we've got a goal, then we can start planning. And what that looks like is we go through these equations. We go, right, your total income goal is 140,000 divided by 5%. So 140 divided by 5% is 2.8 million. And that is, this 5% is, you can see it up here, is the rent return. Okay, so we're being super conservative with that, because by the time you've held property for 10, 12, 15 years, your rent will have gone up and way outpaced the 5%. But we're just being conservative. So let's say you need the 2.8 million, and then you go, well, what am I comfortable purchasing at today? Like, if I was going to buy $2.8 million worth of property, would it be, 7 of them at 400,000? I don't know I think that's right. Or would it be, 2 at 1.4? Because the better quality, the more, this is bad grammar, the more better quality property that you buy, generally the better capital growth you get. And that has to be offset by, can you manage the yield? Because usually the yield's lower when it starts out. So, and that's the rent yield. So let's just say this person wants to spend 800, yeah? Or 700, let's call it 700. 700 per property, which means they need 4 properties, I would suggest. Yep. So now we know, because we've divided 2.8 by 700, which is the price point fictional me is comfortable buying at. And that's 700. And so I need 4 properties. So now, as far as my strategy goes, I know that I need, in order to create 140K in income for myself, I need $2.8 million worth of property divided by an average property purchase price of 700K gives me 4 properties. Now, it's never perfect. You'll buy a property for 732,000 and another one at 690 and another one at 800. Like, that's how it goes. But we have a goal now. So now we're beginning to take some really good steps forward, and we're beginning to get some clarity into what the beginning of your strategy looks like. So that's pretty much it from a goal setting perspective. So that's why goals are important. So when we sit down with you, when we're coaching you as a client, the goals we're looking at is, now we have a target. We have to have a target in order for us to plan. So play along with the coach and make sure that you are putting some thought into your goals, but don't get hung up on being perfect, because it all irons out in the long term as you progress, and you find you will hone through the process. There's magic in the process, and there's magic about moving forward. It'll hone and give you clarity as you move forward through the process. So then the next part that I wanted to share with you guys is, what does it look like internally for us when we are onboarding you as a client and we are going to start coaching you? What are the considerations? What is actually behind what sometimes can seem like quite a simple set of instructions for a strategy? But I want you guys to understand that there is actually a lot of thought and care that goes into strategy for our clients. And I guess this is what it looks like. Cool. So when a client joins mentoring, you do what we call your PFS, which is your portfolio finance summary, or your property finance summary. And that's basically filling out a spreadsheet with your current financials, any property you hold, any debts, all of that kind of stuff, so we can see where you are financially. We get you set up in our training library. Everything that we do, with the exception of the bus tours and the live pop-ups, is recorded. And if you can't make anything, it's all there. Like if you miss out on a webinar or an event, it's all there recorded for you in the library. That you're part of our exclusive Facebook group for clients only, where we put a lot of information, a lot of client results, videos, all sorts of cool stuff in there. And that you have got your goals and you've completed them and you've emailed them back to the coach. So once all of that is done as part of your onboarding, then we're looking at booking you in for your initial strategy appointment. And so we pull the fact find, i.e. your finance summary, and we make sure that everything's been entered correctly. Because sometimes people put an extra zero and all sorts of funny stuff. Or they might miss something that we need to understand, like, what super have you got, or what debts, liabilities do you have? And then we review your goals. So everything that we've just discussed, we want to know. But then we also are looking for some stuff on a coaching level, clashing objectives, relationship issues, self-development issues that will become coaching challenges. And then we pre-frame anything that we see as a potential roadblock for you, and a game plan and why we're flagging it with you before we move forward. Because if we don't address any of the roadblocks we see before we get really underway, then they can crop up later and cause bigger problems. Sometimes an example would be, relationship issues. Not everybody is on the same page with investing. Sometimes we see partners, husbands and wives, wives and wives, husbands and husbands, that may have different views on investing. Somebody might want to buy the family home. Somebody might want to invest and wait. There can be some financial choices to make about that, because they're not both equal when it comes to finance. You might service more. You might be able to get more money to get into the market investing than you can for your owner occupied. So you might get a better long-term result, but then there's this emotional weight for the family home. So there can be all of these nuances to discuss with clients, and we need to make sure that you guys are all on the same page before we start down the coaching and purchasing and acquisition phase with you, because otherwise it'll come up later on when you go to buy property, and then one of you might stall. Now, we also get people that are on their own journey. They're not necessarily buying with a spouse. Sometimes people partner up with family or friends and purchase, and there's other conversations to have around that, about making sure that there's clear rules of engagement, etc. So the coaching and the strategy often comes down to your personal situation and where you're at from an EQ perspective, a relationship perspective, your job security, your job satisfaction, your family plans. There's so much that can tip a strategy, and it's really important we have these conversations first. Then we look at making sure you've done your needs, wants, dreams, which we just spoke about before. and this is important because we want that fixed target, which I've explained to you guys is important because we want to be aiming for something, and we want to be aiming for things driving me nuts. And we want to be aiming, understanding what that number is and how many properties you need to buy in acquisitions phase and what your acquisitions phase looks like. Because fictional me with 4 properties at 700,000 may not service, you may not be able to get borrowing. I may not have the deposit funds or the equity to go out and buy 4 properties. So what then? So then it comes back to strategy. That determines the type of property that you're going to purchase. What is going to get the most capital growth in what market? And what are the trade-offs of that market? And what is the upside of that market? And what I mean by that is if you look at Melbourne as an example and you go, right, Melbourne's at the bottom of the market. Everyone's saying, well, not everyone, but the media and a lot of people are saying Melbourne is the market that everyone needs to get into. It's the investor darling city at the moment. People are beginning to pivot from buying in Brisbane, which has had a lot of growth, into Melbourne. But Melbourne's also had a very flat period, which is normal in any property cycle. There are trade-offs to that. There might be a propensity for low vals before there is data that recognizes the growth that's coming. There might be slightly flatter rents because we're still waiting for supply to be absorbed. There could be a whole number of things that, even though there's maximum opportunity, there's also the flip side. And this is an important aspect to coaching. There is never a perfect deal, never a perfect market, and never a perfect price point. And it comes down to understanding, this is the coach's job. It comes down to understanding what is your upside. So why is the coach recommending this? And what is your trade-off? So what do you have to consider when you're weighing up an investment? Because every deal, no matter how good it is going to come with a trade-off. And if we know what those trade-offs are, then we don't need to worry about them. It removes the fear because then we have a plan to mitigate the trade-offs. Yeah. So it might be a buffer in case of a low val. It might be that we choose to go to Brisbane because Melbourne's still a little bit unknown and I don't have a buffer. I'm not comfortable having a buffer for a low val. I don't like the idea of low vals. There could be, there's a whole raft of reasons that your strategy may pivot based on where you are. Also, from a risk perspective, once again, everybody's different. And this is why it's so important that if you're joining a program that is offering coaching, that it actually is truly coaching and truly setting strategy for you. It's not just talking about the first property you purchase. All of these nuances are important to our clients getting a great result. Then we have to educate you on the market, a big picture view. So the markets that we're looking at, why, what the tactics are in those markets. So where are we getting the best result for the price point? And what type of property? Is it off the plan? Is it existing? Is it house and land construction? And if it's off the plan, is it apartments? Is it townhouses? Are they house and land contracts that are set up as an off the plan contract, which you can get? Once again, pros and cons to these things. And so we educate you on that, and we educate you on some of the basics around finance, servicing versus borrowing power, and all of these other bits and pieces. We take you through your big picture equation. So based on what you've filled out in your finance summary, what deposit funds have you got? And what is that going to allow you to purchase? What is your maximum? Because let's say I had $100,000, as you can see in this equation here, $100,000, and I'm dividing that by 17% because it's a 10% deposit, 5% for stamps, legals, and 2% for LMI. That's a rough equation to give us an idea. We later get finance to drill down and give us detailed numbers, but this just gives the coach a basic understanding. And your borrowing power is about 588,000. Yeah. So we explain that equation. Our job is to educate you on what you're doing so you understand, because when clients understand and these steps are broken down into small, easy chunks, then it takes away the fear and people are empowered to make quality decisions for themselves, which is what I get excited about. We also pre-frame expectations of what the client-coach relationship is going to look like and what the journey entails. So every time you buy, we reassess your servicing deposit funds, your outgoings and buffers and cash flow, right? Because we might say 4 at 700, but the reality is you bought 1 at 750. And so now we have to reassess everything. The markets change and evolve. From where we set strategy to where you then are ready to buy might be a 2-month, a 1-month trajectory, or it could take you 12 months to get comfortable and into the swing of it. So everybody is different, and sometimes markets change in the time that clients move forward. And part of your responsibility as a client is making sure that you are keeping up to date with some of the education. You don't have to attend all of it, but make sure that you do tap into the market education, because that will give you a lot of knowledge and a lot of certainty about what's going on and where you're buying. We book in the next strategy meeting for you, but then we make sure you understand how to keep booking, because you will book in as you need to. And sometimes that might be a weekly meeting when you're in the process of purchasing, getting finance, sorting your strategy. Other times it will be once every 3 months when you've purchased and you're in a holding pattern, you're paying down debt. Could be once every 6 months. We introduce you to the greater team and we check that you're all set up and engaged in everything that I'd mentioned before around Facebook and all of that stuff and the library. And then we get another team member who's critical to your journey called the property consultant to book in and do their first meeting with you. So your team consists of your coach and your property consultant, but also includes the greater 6-star team, which is your tax, your financial planning, your finance team, your property management, etc. So the property consultant will take what the coach has taught you as far as your strategy, and the coach will brief the PC, the property consultant, and the property consultant will match properties to your strategy. And then they'll adjust as they understand your preferences, your likes, your dislikes, your comfort levels around price point, etc. But the first meeting is not to sell you anything. The first meeting with the property consultant is to make sure that that you understand a little bit more about the market beyond what the coach has told you. So they'll take you through how to do due diligence on a deal, how to use the property calculator, the purchase process for different deal types. They'll take you through the different deal types, the pros and cons of both, and of all of them, I beg your pardon. And they'll explain a little bit more about the markets and the economic drivers behind those markets. And while they're doing that, we'll get you booked in with the finance broker. Some of our clients use their own finance team if they've got pre-existing relationships. It is easier for us if you use our fantastic team. The reason being is that we can troubleshoot with them. So it just makes it a bit easier if there's anything that needs to be resolved, a challenge, a hump, stuff like that. And we brief the broker also, because part of the finance strategy will become part of your overall strategy as well. So this is all happening over a number of appointments over a period of time that is driven by your timeframes. So while it might sound like a lot, it can be done in small bite-sized chunks over as long as you need that to be done. And like I said, we have clients that push ahead like a mile a minute, and then we have other clients that take their time to absorb and assess, build trust, and there's no pressure. You do this at your pace. But just know that the team is there to fully support you. And when you're ready and we've got all of your finance information back, so the broker has confirmed what you can service, what you can borrow, what deposit funds you have, all of that good stuff, then we get into the nitty-gritty. So we check in with you on your preference. Now that you've had this basic education, your preferences, which markets are appealing to you, which type of deal, and we talk you through any objections or roadblocks you might have about deals, because understand there's no bad type of deal. Off the plan apartments are a much maligned strategy. Done well for the right reason with the right apartment in the right market, they can have phenomenal results. They're not for everybody. And some people love house and land. They love the idea of having that land component. It might be something you want to consider stretching your comfort zones around. Some people only like existing property. We're not here to fight you on that and to force you into anything, but we are here to stretch your comfort zones to understand the pros and cons of deals. And then you make the decision about what is right for you. So at no point in time are you pressured into anything. There can be pressure that is unique to the deal. So, for example, we had some townhouses in Preston and Melbourne recently that were the developer needed to move them very quickly, and he had some remaining stock. He was discounting it by around $100,000 compared to what he'd sold the other townhouses on to get them sold quickly via ourselves. And the acquisitions team had negotiated hard to get that discount. And so for clients that were going to buy those, there were a limited number of them. It had to be, there was obviously a lot of interest in them with the discount, and it is first in, first serve. And so the project was launched. Clients went through the process of putting in an expression of interest. And so there can be time pressures that are unique to deals, but understand there's also, there's deals coming through on a regular basis. And so if you miss something here, there's other opportunities. So you have to do what is right for you, and the team will absolutely support you in this. And then obviously we pre-frame our role as coach, and we introduce the concept of normal and abnormal problems, because there's always going to be challenges. It doesn't matter who you get to engage you to help you build a portfolio. There's always going to be a tenant that does something daft. There's always going to be, over a journey of 12, 15 years holding property, there's going to be interest rate increases. There's going to be rates to pay. And at some point when your portfolio performs, and if you've bought a lot of house and land, you might have some land tax to pay. Like, there's always annoying problems, or challenges, or just parts of normal investing. They're normal problems. What we want to avoid is the abnormal problems. The tenant that maliciously damages a property, the druggos that have a meth lab in the garage, the stuff that makes all of the big TV shows, but you don't want to have to navigate. I've never had to navigate a challenge like that in 20 plus years of investing, but I have had a lot of normal problems, and that's just par for the course. Yeah. So we make sure that we set some expectations around that, and then we complete your strategy. So what to buy, where to buy, based on your feedback, based on finance, based on your goals, based on what the markets are doing, and any other considerations that you need to have in the back of your mind. We brief the property consultant and they start booking in their second meeting with you. And then we take your EOI, you put in an expression of interest on a property that you like when you're ready and the right thing comes up. The PC will go through a lot of the detail on that property, and then it's back to the coach for a final sign-off to make sure that it fits strategy and it's all crystal clear. And that's how we get you to your first property. That's the beginning of coaching. And then that relationship continues. Here at Positive Real Estate, your mentoring is lifetime, so lifetime mentoring. And you're here with us for the full journey. Some of my coaching team have been with us 10, 15 years, like myself. And we've got some fresh talent in there as well that I'm really excited to have in the team. And these guys and ladies are here to see you through your journey. So once you've bought a property, then it's back to the coach. It's, have you got it rented? Do you need support? What are we renting it for? Let's talk to the property management team. If it's in an area that we don't have a property management team, sometimes clients do their own deals. Then it's what should the rent be? Let's review that on RP data. How are you finding a good property manager? We'll coach you through all of that, making sure that you are getting a great set of experts as part of your team if it's not utilizing our team for any particular reason. So, there's a lot of touch points, a lot of support. Any challenges you book in with the coach, any questions you have, we recommend a 6-monthly, 12-monthly review. Redo your goals. Let's review your properties. Where are they at? How are your rents looking? How's your current lending structure? Definitely after 3 years, it's good to get loans assessed. Can we get a better interest rate for you? Can we get in with another lender if you had to go with a second tier lender initially? There's so much stuff, guys, that is ongoing as part of maintenance of a great portfolio. And while it probably sounds like a lot, me talking you through it right now, it becomes your norm. And once again, we break it down into bite-sized chunks. That's the benefit of having a team at your fingertips. And I just wanted to take you through some of the structure behind the awesomeness that is Positive Real Estate. So I hope that was helpful. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood and got a little bit of an insider glimpse at what coaching looks like here at Positive Real Estate, how we help our clients get awesome results, and how we aim to partner with you guys for essentially a lifetime of investing. And if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and the team. You can reach me at Tabitha, spelt Tabitha .Bright at positiverealestate.com.au if you have any questions, any concerns, anything you'd like to share with me, any good news stories. And certainly, if you're a client and you would like to be interviewed for a podcast, I would love to interview you. So that's it from me for now. Take care, folks. See you around the traps. And if you're not a client at Positive Real Estate, obviously we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out and check out our website, positiverealestate.com.au, and maybe book in for a free workshop. And you can get to hear from one of our fabulous coaches. Awesome. That's it for me for now. Take care. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.